Tell me your thoughts on what's going on with Ukraine and Russia economically. I know obviously we can talk about it politically. I'm talking economically. What are your thoughts on that? The impact that's having on us today versus previous wars we've had.
Look, I said this from the very day that thing started, that war started. I said it was a mistake. I said it was going to last for a long time. It was going to be another quagmire, and that we could have avoided it. The easiest thing to do, if we did not come to the aid of the Ukraine, right? If we had not provided Zelensky with the money and the weapons to fight, he wouldn't have fought. And he would have cut a deal with Russia, which would have been no problem for us. I don't believe that Putin is some kind of Adolf Hitler looking to take over Europe and that we can't appease him. But once we came into it, he now had the means to continue a war that he probably can't win. But now thousands or tens or hundreds of thousands, I'm not sure what the death toll is on both sides, but a lot of young men and women have needlessly died in a pointless war. I mean, they built up Zelensky as if he's some kind of George Washington and as if this is some kind of, freedom fight. If you look at the Heritage Index of Economic Freedom before the war started, Russia ranked higher than the Ukraine. The Ukraine was less free than Russia, and it's even less free now because of the draconian laws that have been passed by Zelensky ever since this war started, which is enriching, who knows, the military-industrial complex, which is making a ton of money off of this unnecessary war, is helping to run up our budget deficits and cause even more inflation to be created. I'm more concerned with the needless loss of life. And I don't know how many more people are going to die for nothing. But I said at the time that this is just going to go on. And I think early on, I think they had like a peace deal that we sabotaged. I think they were going to start it, and we sent the head of the UK down there to talk Zelensky out of it. And so we created this almost like a wag the dog kind of situation. I mean, initially, we blamed Putin for everything bad that was happening in this country and turned him into this, big boogeyman. And so it was a convenient scapegoat for the politicians to blame stuff on the war. But no, I think the whole thing is a mistake. I mean, not that I think Putin's this great guy that we should honor. Look, I mean, you got two countries that are relatively unfree, that have a lot of corruption. There's more corruption probably in the Ukraine than there was in Russia. It's no accident that some of the bribe money that Hunter Biden was taking and sharing with the big guy was coming out of Ukraine, right? I mean, he was doing all kinds of shady deals in the Ukraine. So we've got no dog in this fight. We shouldn't even be involved. Europe shouldn't be involved. I mean, let Russia and Ukraine figure it out. And the biggest problem was what we did with NATO. Because when the Cold War ended, we should have disbanded NATO. What a waste of money. The only reason we had NATO was because there was a Soviet Union. And so once the Soviet Union went away, why didn't we just say, okay, great, we don't need NATO anymore? Because now NATO had its own bureaucracy, all these people who had a vested interest in keeping NATO going. It's like they say a government program lives on forever. We have government programs that were started 100 years ago to do something that doesn't exist anymore, but the program is still there because once you create the agency or the department, it has a life of its own. And so instead of dismantling NATO, we started to invite all of the former Soviet bloc countries to join NATO. So now NATO is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and Russia's not a part of it. And we're getting all these countries into NATO to go against Russia. And now the Ukraine, which is right, on Russia's doorstep, now the Ukraine is going to join NATO. And Putin is like, well, hey, I can't, this is too much, right? We can't, And so we pushed them into this. But we shouldn't even have NATO. What is the point of it? We're wasting all this money. We can't even afford it. We're borrowing the money to pay for NATO.